This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to The Krypton Report.
And you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's
The Krypton Report.
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superboy!
Happy holidays. And for all of you Amazon.com shoppers, go to SouthgateMediaGroup.com. There's an Amazon login portal there. And just do your shopping. And portions of your shopping go to help support Southgate Media. So happy holidays. If you've enjoyed Krypton Report, please check out the other podcasts available from Southgate Media Group. From Capes and Lunatics, which is everything you could possibly want from a geek podcast, to Nuff Said, Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, Titans Talk. If you're like me, you can't get enough of your DC. And you can also check out Super Connectivity, where they discuss everything in comics. Also, they do discuss Marvel. That's something you don't hear much from me. So, check it out, SouthgateMediaGroup.com.
It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Supergirl!
Welcome to the Krypton Report. It is the week before the crisis. I'm having a midlife crisis. I don't know about James. But
just a health crisis.
James,
and not really a crisis, just sick.
Bro, everything right now is a crisis. I don't care what it is.
Right.
You could be like, Tyler, I feel great. I'm like, no, James, you don't. You feel like crap. You know why? Because we're in a crisis. You know why? Because it's crisis.
It's crisis on Infinite Earths.
You know, somewhere James of the multiverse is yelling out, I hurt. So it's cool, bro. You're in crisis.
Right.
But that is, if you can't tell, it's me and James. We're chilling. Hey, guys. We are prepping for Crisis on Infinite Earths. And before we get there, we're going to talk about this past week's Supergirl. We're also going to talk a little news. And we're going to quickly touch on just this little show that just ended its second season. Oh, what was it called? Titans? Does that sound right, James? Titans?
That sounds right.
Yeah. All right, we're going to stop being dumb. Let's jump into the cool stuff. All right, number one. As of today of this recording, and take it with a grain of salt, I kind of hope and believe it's true, that it is confirmed that Mark Guggenheim did reach out to Nick Cage to appear in Crisis Infinite Earths as Superman. James, your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he finally got to be Superman in Teen Titans Go. Go to the movies, rather. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him, like, flying or something and then his Earth get wiped out or something, just as a quick, like, snap cameo or something, but...
Exactly. I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, yes, bring it on, man. Do it. Anybody and everybody that you can fit in there, even if their world's getting wiped out, just the face, the person being there. Exactly. I'm just like, throw it all in there. Just toss it. I'm okay. So I thought that was cool. I would like to see it. Okay. The other thing is, I cannot believe this. They have said that there is stuff that they haven't teased or revealed that's going to be in Crisis.
I hope so.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if we see Dean Cain as Superman in some form.
That would be sweet.
Even if it's like you just said, like a flash of him watching his Earth get wiped.
Right.
We got over on Capes and Lunatics. Just shortly ago, I was recording, and we discussed a couple different things. But one thing that is most intriguing is the fact that Charlie Esser did not realize that Birds of Prey was a real movie.
What?
That it was a movie that was coming to theaters and not just a DC Universe kind of special thing. And we brought that up because we got some new Birds of Prey posters and images. And I'm not as much of a hater like Brian is, but bro, I don't feel strong about this movie. I'm intrigued to see Margot back as Harley, but I'm not feeling it, man. Like I don't have a lot of confidence in this.
Well, as a general audience member, you know, it's probably gonna be gangbusters because it's a female-led team. It's got Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn, and most of these chicks are probably gonna be badass, kicking some serious ass in this movie. So, speaking as a general, you know, from the idea of a general audience member, like it's probably gonna be like it'll probably end up being huge. For those reasons alone, and being 100% led by Harley. So, but I mean, as you know, comic book fans and stuff like that, we've got Black Canary and Huntress and Cassandra Cain. Like, we heard that from the trailer at the CCXP or something like that. That Roman Sionis is going to have his traditional black mask at some point.
Yep.
We heard that. There's a rumor that Jared Leto's Joker might make an appearance. But you know, it's not as like a comic book movie with everybody wearing a comic accurate costume. I heard Journey Smollett Bell talking on an interview earlier, just a snippet, like 2 minutes worth from the convention, talking about her Dinah Lance and how she is as far from interested at the vigilante life as she can be, because she lost her mother to the vigilante life. So that would explain why she's not like the Black Canary we know from the comic books as a crime fighter.
Well, I mean, the original Black Canary was Dinah
Drake,
you know, and then Laurel, then Dinah Laurel Lance was her daughter.
Yeah.
Who took over the Black Canary. So, so yay for, you know, workarounds.
Right. And then, you know, we've got the Huntress. I mean, she's wearing purple and she's got a crossbow and stuff, but I don't know if she's into the vigilante lifestyle yet, or if she's just like her Huntress, her vengeance.
Her Huntress looks more like made for TV Huntress.
Well, she certainly looks better than made for TV Huntress back in the Birds of Prey show.
Correct. Well, that was a different character though, in style. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like her costume and everything looks very just.
Well, I mean, you know, they have the name Birds of Prey, and that's because of the people who are involved in the movie. But it's a Harley driven film, and then it seems like the story that they're telling is like these people aren't into the vigilante lifestyle as of yet. Apparently somebody pointed out on Facebook, maybe Twitter, speculating about Renee Montoya's character, how her shirt is done up, like the knot actually looks like a question mark kind of thing. So people are like, oh, is this a hint at her being the question at some point?
That's interesting.
So, of course, I'm going to see the film. I mean, it's not getting me the images and stuff like that aren't getting me extra hype for it, because it doesn't. It looks completely different. You know, it seems like a step back from getting comic book accurate stuff that we have been over the years from Marvel and from DC. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to see it. Like I said, I have a feeling with the way that it's led, female-led team. It's supposed to be some pretty hardcore action. They've got the John Wick action directors, directing the action sequences. So, I mean, people love John Wick.
Yes.
So to see Harley and all these ladies kicking some serious butt, like brutal style like that, I feel like if the general audience goes to see it, that it's going to hit. I mean, as long as the film is good, but that's hard to say from, at this point, but just the logistics of the film, the action, the women, Harley, you know what I mean? Just all of that. It seems like it would be a go-to, like this will be the opposite of this Charlie's Angel reboot. It won't be a flop. Then what Elizabeth Banks won't have anything to say because a female-led action movie hit gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, I totally do.
'Cause I just think that's funny to say that, for her to make that comment, or for that comment to be out there. Like, no, that's not really it. It's just, Charlie's Angels isn't a draw. That's a little older nostalgia than people are in right now. You know what I mean? That's 70s nostalgia. That was hot back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, now it's 80s nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You kind of missed the boat on that one. That's why the first remake of Charlie's Angels, the first two movies, did fairly well.
It's just, and then they tried to reboot the series on TV, and it tanked.
Did they? I don't even recall that.
Exactly. It tanked.
Yeah, probably didn't make it out of pilot hell.
So,
never got picked up.
Anyways, so we got that. So moving on, I wanted to ask you a question. And this is something I kind of was posing. Like, I was reading some Superman stories, and one of Superman's nicknames is the Man of Tomorrow. What does that mean to you? Because we're going to be getting a movie shortly about being called the Man of Tomorrow. But what does that mean to you, James?
The Man of Tomorrow, the ideals that Superman strives towards, truth, justice, hope, and acceptance, equality, that kind of stuff. I think the Man of Tomorrow is all about that, trying to make those old-fashioned ideals popular today and in the future, trying to bring those ideals. It's sad to call them old-fashioned, but unfortunately, I mean, even in these PC days, like, it seems that way.
Yeah.
Because there's always a problem, no matter what is said. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So things are way too PC, and it's almost taking a step backwards.
I gotcha. All right. Well, cool. I just was thinking about that. Just the concept of what does it mean? What do people interpret the man as tomorrow as?
Yeah, the Man of Tomorrow, like following him into a new day, into a brighter day. You know what I mean? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It makes good sense to me. It's just, just trying to think about, like, some of these things people would come up with and they would say about these characters and give them these cool names. And it's like, what did what do you think it meant for when they wrote it? So just kind of thinking. But all right, so now we're gonna move on, and let's talk Titans, man. Titans season 2. Like, we touched on a little bit because we did the review of the episode of Connor being Superboy, being our Kryptonian brother. But let's just we're gonna spoil the crap out of season 2 because and we're probably gonna end up going in randomness. But let's do this, bro.
Okay. Well, we start at the very beginning of season 2, or the finale of season 1. Rather, half of the first episode was half season 1, 2/3 season 1, and then the final 20 minutes was season 2. Like Raven aged a year, walking out of the mist after she took down Trigon.
Mm-hmm. That she did.
I mean, so they wrapped up Trigon pretty quickly. I don't think it's over with the things that have happened to Raven over the season. Her dreams, clawing her, scratching Gar, killing Rose, or attempting killing Rose. The gargoyle, possessing the gargoyle, like...
I have a theory about...
the unconscious possession of the gargoyle. I don't know.
I have a theory about Trigon when we get to it. When we get to the end. Because there has to be something else said before I can tell my theory.
Okay. So, it kicked off pretty good. First episode, kind of wrapped up. I didn't have a problem with the way Trigon looked. The only problem I had was with how quickly he was dispatched. But like I said, I think that's far from over at this point. So, then we get into, episode 2 and farther on, and we're in Titan's Tower and seeing the Titans train, seeing some of the personalities come out for the characters. The guy who does Kieran Walters, maybe, I think.
Yeah, it sounds.
Who does
Jason?
Jason, he's
awesome.
He's a standout. Yeah, he's completely and amazingly obnoxious.
He's lovable, and you hate him at the same time.
Yeah,
and that's what you need from Jason. He's a little punk brat that you want to punch in the face, but you love him at the same time.
Yeah. So like when inevitably, say they stick to the canon route and he gets beaten to death with a crowbar and blown up, you're sad.
Spoilers. Seriously, spoilers. He made it out of this season alive.
Yes, he did.
Because part of me feels like Jason's only plight in life is to die and come back as Red Hood.
Right.
So I really had my hat in the ring that he was going to die.
Right.
I thought instead of Joker, it was going to be Slade.
Right. Like if he dies in season yeah, every time you say Slade, you got to do the Teen Titans Go. Slade. Mm-hmm. Do extra tongue work and all that. Slade. Yeah.
It's so weird they do that, but yeah.
Yeah. Like if he dies next season and then they get picked up for a season 4 and he comes back in season 4 as Red Hood. So that would be pretty awesome. His character became much more interesting when he did become Red Hood in the comic books. And for a while he just, he was just the Red Hood, and he was kind of like, he was a murderous vigilante. So in the New 52, they tried to give him more of a larger impact in the world because of the training that he did, the things that he did after he was brought back, because he followed in Bruce's footsteps kind of deal and traveled and trained and that kind of stuff. So They tried to give him a little bit more of a purpose than just being, Jason Todd back from the dead, murderous vigilante.
Exactly.
I mean, I assume that, with the show, they're not going to go that far. If he comes back as the Red Hood, then it's going to be much more of a, he is just the murderous vigilante, and like Dick is going to be trying, I'm assuming it would be Dick because it's Titans, would be trying to, get through to him and kind of get him back off of the path of killing people, even for the greater good.
Exactly.
So, I mean, lots of good stuff this season. Esai Morales as Slade.
I loved him as Slade. I wish, this is probably the one show that I wish had more budget. Because I feel like a lot of stuff gets shortcutted and stuff because of budget. And I know they have a lot of good people working in the background on this show.
Budget and time on this show, actually.
Yeah, I feel like they're not bringing their A game. Not the actors, but some of the background people. Because I felt like this season started strong. And then it got sloshy in the middle, where it could have tightened some things up with the story and still been able to pull off some of the same themes and things that it needed. But it just didn't pull them off. Like I think we made some leaps and bounds that were just kind of crazy. Dick going to jail. I feel like Connor was this really big, huge mystery thing, and then all the Titans just left over Dick's revelation that he felt he killed Jericho, because he told him that Jericho was already dead when Slade got there.
Right.
Which I think was dumb. I think that whole thing about Dick blaming himself for Jericho's death is fine, but then lying to the Titans about it kind of thing I think was dumb, just because they all kind of agreed to bring Jericho in. They were all focused on it, and it should have just been something they all...
Yeah, that was a complex thing. Like, it should have been... It was not executed very, very well, because exactly, they were all in on it. Like, Raven even tells Donna's all pissy because Dick had lied to them, and then they're all leaving and stuff like that, and like, she's blaming Dick, but Rachel's like, you all were involved, you were there too to bring Jericho in, like it's pretty messed up and critical how everybody is like damn Dick Grayson for lying to us about how he died. No matter the fact that he's dead because of his involvement with us as a whole.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the execution was a little, There's some things in the season that I think exactly were, like sloshy or executed poorly. But there's a lot of good in the season too. One of the things that, now this show with budget and time, this show could actually be extended by a few episodes. Right. They could extend this show from 13 to 16 episodes. You know what I mean? Because they do such a great job making these like independent film like character driven episodes. Mm-hmm. There's episodes titled after characters, and they follow those characters and they tell really good stories with them. The flashback episodes, the Jericho episode, the Deathstroke episode, the Connor episode. You know, they do these really great character dives, and they're exploring a lot of characters. They're doing a lot of good things, and then they get to the finale, and then it's all packed in and it's rushed to get these things unfolded, and then they don't have the team dynamic because they spent so much time on individuals, which is great and they're all good, but they don't give them time to be a team and flush that out either. It's like the team doesn't come together until they're doing the walk down the alley in the shadows, and like, so maybe that's what we're looking for in season 3, but we got 2 seasons without it, and it's a show called Titans.
Right. You know, first of all, that final shot of them walking down the alley should have had the Titans theme. It should just all of a sudden should have went silent and be like, bum, 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 bum. Like, it should have been the Titans theme that when the show comes on as they walk down the alley at the end. Okay? Just saying there. What do you think?
I expected more resonance in that scene, you know, like the theme, like just like they didn't even say Titan. They didn't say Titans. They didn't say Titans Go. They didn't say suit up. They, you know, they're just, what are you waiting for? And then everybody kind of goes and does their thing. And then they're walking down the alley, and it's like real somber, like understandably so, you know. They were in there was a somber mood to that part of the episode. I mean, Donna Troy dying, which blah, like she just died to die to become a plot device moving forward, apparently.
All right, we're gonna get there. You said it, we're getting there.
You know, like, so the episode went way down for 7-8 minutes or whatever, and then they go into that and they're like Titans, you know, and they're walking down the alley, and then it's just, like I said, somber. It's just, let's take a slow stroll down the alley or whatever. Like, it's not like they're going to save the day or anything. There's definitely no fanfare involved, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I just was like, oh, okay. So, I don't know. It just felt off.
It's, you know, I mean, like last season, you know, it went out on a great episode, but you know, they already knew they had a season 2. They didn't have like a resolution. It's not like a full season story where there's a full arc and then it's resolved by the end of the season, and then when it starts up there's a new thing. Like, it was they kind of did it almost like old school television, where there was always a cliffhanger at the end, and then you had to wait till next season to see what happens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of how they left it. It was a great episode, even for being an episode in Dick's head. It was really well. It was really well acted. It was quite interesting. It was awesome to see all the Easter eggs and how horrible Gotham was, and how horrible it continued to get because of Trigon in his head. But so it just kind of fizzled out just because the way it left you hanging. But like I said, that's kind of. But they don't stick the landing, you know what I mean? Great seasons, and then the finale is just a little bit meh.
And I agree with that because maybe they didn't know about season 3 when they were filming this, so they kind of wanted to give this kind of closure.
Yeah, at least
the season 3.
Yeah,
because it does kind of have that stinger at the end where we find out Blackfire's on Earth now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to throw out that like Starfire, I felt like got very short this season. Garfield got very shortened this season.
Mm-hmm.
So did Rachel, who still hasn't gotten the title of Raven yet.
Well, what's interesting is I wonder, because we've seen they released a still of the team from season 1 finale of the team all in costume, Rachel in a cloak, Starfire in a suit, all of the Titans in a suit, Dick in a Nightwing costume. Like they had that set up and planned at the end of season 1, and they completely scrapped it, and they scrapped it still all the way through the entirety of season 2. Like
with Starfire,
they went in a total different direction than what they intended. I'm assuming.
Once again, it might have been the fact they didn't know where they were going with if they would get a season 2. And I mean, you took forever to get to Nightwing, and it was great. But
yeah, Dick's pity party lasted 2 seasons.
And so and he finally started acting like Dick Grayson at the end. The way he talked to Rose and was able to forgive her, understood her, accepting of her, that's Dick Grayson. But here's how Tyler would have played out the last episode. Okay, and I hate being that kind of person, but I have that mindset. I'm that kind of a creative person, so I hate being always, well, I would have done it this way. But just hear me out real quick, okay? First of all, Donna Troy's death is bullcrap. There's something really weird in the editing of that scene, because it looks like where there's a shot of Connor and the police are showing up. And I told Jania, it felt almost as if there may have been a scene where Connor surrendered himself to the cops or something, because when the camera angle changes and where Donna goes and grabs the thing, Connor should have been there. And it really felt like that should have been the moment where people could have seen Connor as a hero after just witnessing him under Cadmus' control. So why was it Donna that did it?
Yeah.
And why did electricity kill Donna? It wouldn't have been that much electricity after okay, first of all, there's been a couple different versions of Donna Troy. We don't exactly know the background of this Donna Troy character. We don't know if she's human that's trained with the Amazons, or if she is part Amazon or part deity, like the way they kind of did her in the New 52.
Well, the fact that she went a little bit hand to hand with Connor, she's Amazon.
Exactly. And I don't know if you read in the New 52, when they brought Donna Troy in, she was created, if I'm remembering everything right, by Grail, which is Darkseid's daughter, with an Amazon, to be kind of the anti-Wonder Woman, to fight Wonder Woman. And the origin that Donna Troy got was kind of the original Wonder Woman being made from clay, because she's created like that. It's been a long time since I've read it, and I know I'm missing some details, but the idea was she had that mystical background.
Right.
So had we gotten something more about her background, because I would have felt like we would have gotten more out of it. Now, how Tyler would have done it. The episode starts, Nightwing's fighting Slade. Slade's tough. Dick's doing a great job. Slade's getting the upper hand. Rose shows up. Together, they take down Slade. Rose stabs him. Okay. Cut to, they have to go to the park where Garfield and Connor were basically, they released Gar to kill a bunch of people, then to send Connor in to kill Gar to show that Connor's their ultimate soldier. Okay, I see what Cadmus is doing. But how it should have ended, Donna Troy was holding that thing up getting electrocuted. She pushes it to the side, and then we hear a gunshot, and there's Slade standing there, falling over, bleeding, but he got one of the Titans, and he falls over. Is how I would have done it. So he killed one of the Titans. Slade kind of got his last revenge, and then you could have done something where maybe Cadmus got a hold of Slade. Because that death would have caught us all off guard. It would have been a much more believable death. it would have been almost poetic in the sense that Slade killed Aqualad, and then he killed Wonder Girl. You know, so it would have made more sense to me because I expected Hawk to die. They're building Hank to be like the death of the whole, like he's already on his last leg. So you kind of expected Hank to be the one that goes out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I probably would have been like, you know, Connor goes and catches it, you know, kind of steps up to be the hero after like being under control like that. And then Donna had zipped in to save some people, and perhaps she saved some people, and Connor, you know, catches that, and he's not affected by the electricity, and he sets it down, and there's all this, you know, this fanfare, you know, clapping, they're all heroes, and then, you know, boom, then she gets shot.
Boom, perfect. I mean, that would have been just a, you know, because
kind of like Russell Rogers in Supergirl, where they're just standing there talking, smiling, and then boom, and then all there is a bloody hole in his chest.
Right, exactly. Caught you off guard. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we were all expecting Hank to be the one that dies, or Jason, just because that's what Jason's known for.
Yeah, I thought maybe that Hank would have rushed in to save Dawn when that tower started collapsing because she was underneath it. I thought he would have rushed in to save Dawn, and he would have been like crushed or something. He would have got her out of there. Yeah, he'd have got her out of there, knocked her out of the way, but taken it.
Exactly. It just felt clumsy. I almost wonder if they filmed maybe like a different character's death. So, and then they filmed it kind of a couple of different characters and then chose which one they actually wanted to use.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard, I think from maybe Geek History Lesson about Donna Troy, that she's died a number of times over her character's history. So
I'll have to check that episode out.
So it's not a stretch for her to have died. So, I mean, honestly, if it would have been Hawk, Donna, well, either one of those two, I'm not surprised. I think the execution was a little weak on how it was done. But and then also the fight when they're fighting Connor. So they go after him, all of them powerless, but one, Donna Troy, going after a Kryptonian, one at a time, as opposed to as a team.
Yep.
to try and at least keep this super powered being, the most powerful character they have there, you know, without Starfire, without powers. The most powerful character there, you know, and they're trying to go at him as humans one-on-one.
Exactly.
Like that was a poor thought out battle. That was poorly executed by, you know, the stunt team and the choreographers. Like, so, you know, it was a great season, and there was a lot of good stuff and a lot of good episodes. But it did fizzle in the end a little bit. I was impressed with the episode the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. We got so many costumes. We got some pretty cool action. When Donna gets into that fist fight with Connor, I was like, sweet, superpower punch out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then watching it again, I'm like, yeah, some of this lacks a little bit.
Yeah, it's like they got to the finale and was like, because, I mean, the Dick versus Slade was great, But it was just short, you know? And
the fact, sure, they got pinned down. And so they got pinned down initially. Okay. And Corey takes a round in her arm. Corey and Rachel are in the back seat. She's healing her. Why would at least not Donna get out of the vehicle after Slade's been distracted? They're no longer pinned down. Why would Donna not get out and go into this fight with Dick and then Ravager when she shows up?
that's why I feel like, you know, even if they had given me a little bit of a scene or something of Donna being hesitant because she's scared after last time she took on Slade, how much he brutally beat her.
Which was an awesome episode, an awesome scene.
So if we would have got something where she's hesitant and she says something about being scared and feeling the fear of what happened, okay, I could go with that, you know, but like something.
Yeah. Like they're just sitting there watching.
And that's just kind of like, man, come on. Fell off. And, you know, we're not just going to sit here and beat on the finale. But Garfield got the short end of the stick. My heart breaks for him because he got tortured and beat, and all he wanted to do is be a Titan and do good. And everybody let him down.
Yeah.
You know, that episode that opens up where they're just basically doing surgery on his brain is gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
And they make him into a killing machine. And, you know, luckily Raven is able to, when she pulls him back, basically takes that away from him. But
it's kind of like her healing ability.
We're still only seeing him as a tiger. You know, that's kind of bumming me out. Like, he's Beast Boy, not Beast...
Not Tiger Boy?
Yeah, not Tiger Boy.
So, well, I'm hoping in the next season we'll get a little more new Titans. We'll get a little more hero stuff. Let's move forward a little bit. Mm-hmm. We've spent 2 seasons on literally a pity party for everybody.
Yep.
Let's give them a reason to move forward instead of looking back and letting the past tear them down. That's going to be Gar in the next season. That is going to be Gar in the next season. I was taken captive. I was turned into a killing machine. I can taste the blood in my mouth, you know, months later, of the people that I had killed, the people that I had attacked. That's going to be Gar. Let everybody else try and move forward. You know,
I agree with you.
Stop with all of the pain from the past. Like, that's what made them who they are, but that's not who they are moving forward.
Amen. You know, with Connor, I think what made me mad with Connor is they have this big, like, kind of like, who is this guy? He's like Superman. He's healing. He saved Jason. And then like, oh, let's just abandon him. You know, let's just abandon him and leave him in a bed. This guy that nobody literally knows. He could have woke up and then like desolated the tower or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Starfire heals him, but it's like they wait so long for him to come out, and then Garfield's trying but doesn't recognize like his mental state. So I'm really hoping that Garfield and Connor get bigger roles in the next film or the next season. Like, just especially Connor, like what he can contribute in his storyline about, you know, he's a different kind of Superboy. So Hank and Dawn, I think their story's in an interesting place where they're no longer a couple, but they're still Hawk and Dove.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but my theory. Oh, before I forget. Okay, so the end of the episode, Rachel says she's going to go to Themyscira. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
with Donna. One, I'm thinking we don't have Azarath in this show. It hasn't been presented or anything.
Right.
And
she summoned Trigon or released Trigon on Azarath, and he destroyed it.
so what I'm thinking is, what if there's something on Themyscira that Trigon wants, and he's still kind of, because he's in Rachel, and we've seen her kind of let free like the gargoyle and stuff, that Trigon wants to get to Themyscira, and maybe they'll resurrect a dark Donna Troy, or maybe he'll be able to open Hades or something that Trigon wants to be there. So Rachel's thinking that she wants to go to learn to, harness her skills or whatever, but see, it's Trigon who wants to be there for a reason.
Right.
So that's just
makes sense.
That's my quick theory. On
It's
that,
gonna have to play a role in why she went or what happened when she was there.
Right, because everyone's asking like, why did she go? I'm like, there's a reason. She has the powers, and maybe they can help her better. We know that Starfire doesn't have her powers. Blackfire's here now, and that's cool. We can get into all that. Dick's now Nightwing going to lead this team. We can beat ourselves over the head by how much we don't like this Bruce. It was probably the worst casting this series has done for a series that has done amazing casting.
Mm-hmm.
Characters that I'm like, that now I'm like, oh, I really like this character, like the way they brought it to life here. But yeah, did not like Bruce Wayne at all.
Yeah. Ian Glenn was not the he was not properly cast. I mean, maybe if they would have made him like a Dark Knight Returns coming out of retirement Batman,
or
you know what I mean?
Alfred,
or
and
like
just kind of held off on Bruce Wayne because we got teases about Alfred more in the first season.
Yeah,
because it's pretty much, if I think about it, is the laziest Bruce Wayne ever. As soon as he found out about Connor, he should have contacted him. The fact that one episode we think we're meeting Bruce Wayne and it's some sort of figure of Rachel's imagination kind of doesn't make sense and asks more bigger questions.
Yeah.
They talk about how Bruce got them all together. Let's see. What character haven't we talked about much? I think we covered everyone pretty well. We got Rose Wilson, Slade's other daughter, in this. We find out that Jericho's still alive. He was living in Slade, and now he's living in Rose. Him and Rose are kind of sharing a body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. He moves to her.
Yeah.
Mercy Graves was all right in this, but this is like the best live action Mercy that we got because they killed her. I mean, I liked her on Supergirl, but they just got rid of her too fast.
Right.
But I was really digging that actress and everything she was bringing to Mercy on Supergirl.
Yeah. I mean, this Mercy, she's pretty ruthless too. I mean, just straight up killing the Cadmus scientists, using Gar, using Connor and Gar to stage a bidding war, like using Gar to kill and start that I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. I guess I'm still a little bit tired from being sick.
We forgive you.
Yeah. But yeah, just kind of starting that event and then Cadmus coming in to show what Connor can do. Going head to head with a tiger, with a metahuman tiger.
I mean, I mean, she was evil, period.
Yeah, she was.
And even though this season I felt like kept a lot of darker themes, in some ways it was a lighter season. It just felt better. Just overall the aesthetic was more, like you said, hero. Still not enough costumes for me. 'Cause, I mean, if I'm gonna watch, these comic-based shows, I like them in costume, using their powers. I mean,
yeah, that's the one thing we can say on the CW is you're gonna see that 90% of the time or more. So I mean, they need to make a blend. You know what I mean? Like the CW, they're extended and they're filler, but they've got every episode. They've got costumes. They've got heroics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then in the streaming, it's more concentrated and focused story. But it's like they're almost afraid to use the costumes, even though their costumes on the Titans are fantastic.
They're fantastic, and it's on DC Universe.
Yeah.
A app that I'm paying for because I'm a fan of DC. Like, this should be the most ridiculous comic book accurate costumes to the wall. Like, you have an argument between Jason Todd and Donna Troy. They're wearing clothes. Guess what? Their costumes are just clothes. It's not like you're having to do a Green Lantern, CG suit here or a Cyborg suit here. Even Cyborg on Doom Patrol is practical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you could have Donna Troy standing there in her awesome-looking Wonder Girl costume, having the same argument with Robin in his Robin costume.
Or not even that. Not even having the argument. They leave the tower to go do something. They leave the tower to go find somebody, to search for somebody, to do these heroic things, to take on the bad guy, and they go in street clothes. Why do they not go in costume?
Because their costume is a costume, but it's also armor. Talk about what's all in the armor.
Like, how many times did they leave to go to meet Slade or to meet Dr. Light or whoever, and they weren't wearing their suits?
Exactly.
Like you don't go into battle without your armor. Like come on. That was probably the most frustrating part. Seriously.
Like I said, it doesn't.
Everything else aside,
it doesn't take any more effort to have them in costume than it does to have them not in costume. But, I mean, that's pretty much. I think in a nutshell, we covered everything. We still have another show to talk about, but this season of Titans was much better. Being the flagship of the DC Universe streaming app, I feel like it was, coming off. I mean, it's not like the people involved are seasoned people, but it makes me wonder with the who has the money, the kind of pull they have, what their input was. And I'm just hoping that, we can get some more money put into Titans, because I feel like that's where it lacks, is because some of the characters you have are more fantastical, that can do more things than being just like Dick Grayson or Jason, where they don't, or Rose, having Connor and Donna and Starfire adds an element. So
I just got the Superman picture you sent me.
Yeah, I thought I'd send that to you directly and not throw it in there for Brian to argue over the trunks. But
I know, right? That's the only reason.
Exactly.
That's the reason he would give, not the fact that Brandon Routh is like 3 inches taller than this guy, and like bigger and broader, and looks like Superman as opposed to Tyler.
I am currently rewatching the first 2 episodes of Supergirl season 2. With Tyler as Superman, which it's just interesting because I really like him in those 2 episodes. And next I'm going to watch him in Elseworlds, because I just remember watching Elseworlds, and it's been a little bit since I watched it, just feeling like he was off. And I have partial
Right.
theory, but at the same time, I'm curious about. But with that said, let's move into discussing Supergirl, because that's, part of the show, and we need to get that over with so we can get this out so people can hear it before we kick off Crisis. Now, there was a trailer released for Crisis, and it's not even worth talking about, really, because by the time this episode drops and you hear it, Crisis will be airing, so there's not really a time for us to pick it apart because we're going to know the answers soon enough. But
most likely, the first episode is Supergirl.
So let's jump into Supergirl, Season 5, Episode 8, The Wrath of Ramakhan. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, wait, there was one more thing I wanted to say. About Titans and Super. So I think because of how old they casted Bruce Wayne, they should have Gerard Christopher come in as Superman on Titans.
Interesting.
Let's pull in some legacy casting. Gerard did Superboy in the Superboy series for 3 years. Was actually cast, but then turned away when they found out he did Superboy for Lois and Clark. He was going to be in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was him
I
and
did
Dean
not know
Cain.
that.
And when they found out that he had done Superboy, they said goodbye. I just think that he's someone that people forgot. Was the Superboy series has a little bit of a resurgence because of it's on DC.
DC Universe. I was waiting for you if that's where you were going.
And sorry, I just got a message that popped up that was weird. And I just think he'd be a great fit. We're doing all this time of bringing back people from previous shows, and they've yet to really touch on anyone from the Superboy series. I just think he'd be a perfect fit. He is older now, and with Bruce being older on the show, I think it would work.
I still, I get he was cast to be Bruce. He was not cast to be Batman.
Doesn't matter.
That's
Doesn't matter.
fine.
Does
No,
not matter
I know
because you
that's
need to cast
fine,
for
but
both.
he's not. Yeah, but he's not. He should still be able to look like Bruce Wayne. He should still be able to act like Bruce Wayne. Granted, the majority of Bruce Wayne we saw in Titans was mostly in Dick's head.
Yep.
But so it's his own, it's his own. What do I want to say? His own
construct.
Yeah, his own construct. His own what he everything that he is dealing with, and everything like when he was fighting Bruce in his head in the prison, like he couldn't win a fight in his head against Bruce Wayne because that is the impact that Bruce has had on his psyche, and everything that he was going through.
So technically, if we rewatch the series, we get maybe 2 episodes that actually have Bruce Wayne as Bruce Wayne.
Right. So, he was only cast to be Bruce Wayne, but one, he wasn't, and Ian Glenn's a good actor, but
Yes.
he wasn't that good. And then he's too old. He's almost 60. Bruce should only be 10 years older than Dick. 12 at most. If he's 13 and he's 25, 26, so maybe 13. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be 30 years older than Dick Grayson.
Yes.
Period. He should not be 30 years older than Dick Grayson.
I agree.
So
See, that's what I'm saying. This Bruce Wayne thing is going to get us, but we're going to try to get back over here to Supergirl.
yeah,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So we start. This episode starts where the last one left off, where Lena has Myriad, and she retreats to a bunker of Lex's on a mountain, and Supergirl gets freed thanks to Alex and Brainy.
I have the synopsis up in front of me.
Oh,
if you would like.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Supergirl season 5, episode 8, The Wrath of Ramakhan. Alex and Brainy save Kara from the fortress's trap. Alex tells Kara that Lena is beyond redemption, but Kara disagrees. Meanwhile, Andrea joins Kara and Jean in fighting Ramakhan, while Lena prepares to mind control all of Earth with the Q waves. In response, the DEO has Malefic use his own Q waves to repel them. Kara subdues Ramakhan before Andrea seals him in a tar pit before they attack Leviathan's hideout. After breaking up the fight, Andrea flees just as... what's her name? I don't even know her name. There's a name here. Gamine?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. Tells Khan she's in charge now. I wasn't sure how they were pronouncing it in the show, to be honest.
Nope, me neither.
When Lena and Hope are discovered, Hope takes the fall as Eve and is arrested. Later, Malefic decides to return to Mars, and the Monitor reveals to Jean that he brought Malefic to Earth to test him for the impending crisis, which he passed by reconciling with his brother. Unknown to anyone, the Monitor has resurrected Lex and is also preparing him for the crisis, fulfilling Lex's desire to become a hero in exchange for helping him with a favor involving Lena.
All right, that's a lot to unpack. So let's jump here. Let's kind of break it down a little bit by character. We'll start here with the easier ones. Malefic and John are good. You know, we have a scene of Malefic and John appearing at the DEO and Alex ready to shoot him and have everyone else shoot him down. Doesn't trust him. Because he attacked, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of took me as off just because, she doesn't trust John or the Martian ability that he has, because he's telling her, trust me, this is what I've, we've done this, we've bonded, we have this, please just trust that me and my brother here are okay. And but like you said, they do use Malefic's Q waves to stop the attack that Lena launches, which is pretty cool, that Malefic's that powerful. I was thinking that he might have had to draw some power from Jean or something, and them together, using their Martian ability would stop Lena. And so Malefic does help, and then he decides to return to Mars at the end, and Jean tells him about McGann. So it was really nice to hear McGann mentioned. We haven't heard anything about her for ever.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Not in two seasons, not since season 3.
It'd be nice if in Crisis, McGann shows up and Patty Spivot, just because I think she should come back because she's better for Barry than Iris. But, I've been saying that for years. But seriously, it was just nice to be refreshed of that. And it's still crazy to me. And I like this because I like that it's interesting that Mars is still populated with Martians and Jean is on Earth.
Right.
The war still goes on, but Jean is on Earth.
Yeah, normally he's the last Martian.
Which is,
the Civil War wiped them out.
Which is a parallel to Superman, but without the Civil War element. And I think it's a different way to take the character, having Martians.
Unless you think about Smallville.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, true. No, true. I mean, and it's a different way of telling his story, but then it also kind of like, well, Jean, why aren't you up there? Why aren't you part of this?
Right.
And it's like, why is it Mars? Being a planet that now we know is in our galaxy with life on it. Why isn't there some sort of like representation or like communication, like Earth and Mars have something going on that we know that there's life on Mars, like, I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like with as much as National City is open to aliens and this entire world is open to aliens, I feel like there should be more from Mars.
Right.
But,
a lot, I mean, there's the idea that there should probably be refugees, but then also like a lot of them are going to be fighting in a war.
Mm-hmm.
So
anyways, we have Sean. Brainiac and Alex don't really do much in this episode.
No, they're in the DEO. She makes the decision. Her talk with John during that whole Malefic and Lena situation, it was it was some good discussion back and forth between Supergirl and Alex and John and Alex about Malefic. So it was kind of, there was some good dialogue there, but like you said, they didn't do a whole lot of other stuff.
We do get some interesting kind of dialogue from Alex with just, the DEO has missiles ready to blow up Lena's bunker. And we also get a conversation, and I made it in my notes, and I'm pulling up right here, with Alex and Kara, where Kara says something about our Lena. And she says, who is our Lena? She says, she lists all her like Luthor-esque behavior. She talks about how she lied about making kryptonite. She lied about rain. She kept that from them. And about all these other things that she had kept apart. And she's like, she's been living a double life just as much as you have. But,
right.
You've always forgiven her. But Lena is not this innocent person. And this episode is all about Lena talking and telling herself that she is not the villain. She even states, multiple times, I am not the villain here. I am this. She tells, we don't kill. I am good. I always was. And there's another quote that she gives that was interesting. I'm looking for it. We see an interesting side of Lena when she refers to Hope as her friend, and Hope says, I am not your friend. I was created with a purpose. And then, Lena says, oh, okay. And, we see that, and I mean, that's kind of the true villain, is that they don't see themselves as a villain. And that's where Lena has become, is she doesn't see herself as a villain. She doesn't see what she's doing as wrong as anything but good, helping people. And even when Kara tries to reach in and talk to her through the hologram, we find out that Alex used it as a backdoor Trojan horse to plant a virus for Lena. So Lena, once again thinks Kara betrayed her. And there just seems to be so much in this episode, especially at the very end where Lena uses Hope, and Hope puts the gun on her as if it was all Hope / Eve Tessmacher's plan
Mm-hmm.
That way Lena gets away with it.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting that Hope would do that to take the fall.
Well, I mean,
as Eve.
She's basically a robot, like she said, programmed with a purpose.
Yeah, she's programmed to help Lena and ensure her success.
So I mean, that right there just proves that Lena's become. She won't even admit her mistake of what she was going to do, and Andrea basically tries to turn against Leviathan in this episode, and Ramakan basically uses her to power because he didn't have the medallion, a staff to make a volcano that's going to erupt in National City.
Yeah, super volcano to
10,000
basically
times the power of Pompeii that was last unearthed at the Cryptozoic era. So thank you for that there, Facts. And if you would have noticed, they're at a tar pit museum in National City. There was some really great dinosaur exhibits when Ramakan does this. And I feel like this episode is called The Wrath of Ramakan, but he just basically tries to be I don't know, he basically just gets punked. He just taken out by Supergirl and Jean.
Yeah, he wants to do another extinction level event and wipe out humanity on Earth. And yeah, Supergirl and Jean pretty much whoop him.
So I am a little intrigued because, he is stopped, he is defeated, and Ramakan gets dethroned by that person's name that we can't pronounce because they only said it like once really fast. And they keep alluding to who the leader of the group is that we've yet to meet, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they did talk about somebody like appointing who was in charge kind of deal, like Ramakan was in charge or something like that, and then like now she is.
So, and she's now in charge, and so it kind of feels like, okay, this was set up and not ended. So like I told you before, is I felt like they were going to tie up a lot of these villains before Crisis, and I guess where their stories could be over or they could continue, because the same thing kind of happened over on Flash with their villain. They kind of defeated him, but yet he's in the, not the pipeline, but he's in a special kind of prison. So there could be more with him, which I kind of hope not, because I kind of don't like what they've done with that, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I mean, this episode was really, Kara and Lena are at a weird point, and it's going to be interesting to see where things go with Crisis being next week. And I kind of really hate that they're splitting it up. I wish it was just 5 nights, 5 episodes. Crisis.
Yeah, that's going to kind of suck, waiting for it to come back until January.
When it comes back, but, both episodes back to back.
Yeah, one night, both episodes. So that's going to be pretty huge. I can't wait for Crisis. It looks amazing. It looks like we're going to have a handful of time with Kingdom Come Bruce and Superman. So probably not until Batwoman, till the Batwoman episode on Monday night, because Kevin Conroy said that he's only in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we may not get both of them until then. It's nice to see Clark talking to Clark, Tom Welling, in the trailer. Just a quick little shot of him. But man, Crisis is going to be wild, dude. It looks good.
And with that said, I think we're pretty much done here. Anything else you can think of?
No, we were, like I said, we were anticipating some things being more wrapped up by Crisis, but, so certain things, like maybe the worlds aren't going to change as much as we anticipated, but obviously they're going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what is it going to be? What's going to change and how? Because certain things are not going to be, certain villains are still going to be present and things are going to have to happen. So it's just, we're just looking ahead, man. We want to see this was a good episode. The way everything tied together, everybody who was doing something was all like focused on the same crisis. But so it was a good episode. It's refreshing when everybody is tied to the same plot and there's not B and C and D plots that are watered down, where that make all of the plots watered down.
Mm-hmm.
You can do more than one thing, but sometimes you gotta bring back a central focus.
Yeah.
So
and, that's kind of where we've been. It's just like you said, all over the place. So all right. Well, are we ready? Can we make it through this crisis?
Let's hope we survive the crisis. That's the plan.
Right. For all we know, we could be on separate Earths by next week.
Yeah. After the crisis, there may be, you may be Earth 1 Superman, I may be Earth 2 Superman. Who knows?
Exactly.
Look up in the sky.